So here we are. It's a new week, and it's a new topic as well. So nice to have you with us, Mike. So we're doing our yin and yang thing today, our white versus black t-shirts, which is quite interesting. So are you well, Mike? All good?
All good. All is well.
All is well. All is well. So last week we spoke a little bit about the theme of the Pathfinder. We took that from Seth Godin, who talks about it being in terms of linchpin. And the Pathfinder, we said, was one of four attitudes that you can bring, the Pathfinder being the real strategic attitude. The second one was a zealot, which is more of a reaction to something. The third was the whiner, which is someone who takes something, owns it, but doesn't do anything about it, but just whines about it. And then the bureaucrat is someone that will only stick within the system. And it's quite interesting how we're going to take this idea of a Pathfinder and introduce the new theme for the next seven sessions, I guess, is going to be by Steven Covey's 7 Habits. Now, I have to say, the 7 Habits, someone said to me, what would be one of the books that you would take away to a desert island, or that you would make your kids read? And Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Successful People is probably my second most important book I've ever read, second only to the Bible. And it is a book that I have paid my children to read. So I paid them and tested them, and they can quote these 7 habits by verbatim now. And I just like it because I think it's very practical. It really does deal with the nub of what it means to be successful. And I think if you follow these 7 principles, you will find tools that will help you through every walk of life. Certainly that's what I've found. And in the coaching that I do, I invariably go back to one of these seven tools as being a key. So I'm a big fan. I'll put my hands up to that, Mike. And I'm thrilled that we can do these. Obviously, we're going to go through them very, very lightly, a very light touch, but would encourage anyone listening to this to go and buy the book, and or the audible.com. It's on there, and listen to it. And I try and read the book or listen to the book at least once a year. So it kind of gets into my psyche. So here we go. So the first one is be proactive. Be proactive. Number 1. So let's kick this one around. So let me throw this at you, Mike, in our inevitable style. When I say the word or the words be proactive, what comes to mind? How would you frame being proactive?
I think for me, proactivity is not about waiting to be told. So it fits in very nicely with the Pathfinder concept. You don't need to tell a proactive person that they need to do something. It's as if they're a step ahead. I think if you've got people who are working for you, you love the proactive person because they've not only done what you've asked them to do, but they've probably asked a question. I wonder why he, she wants this. So when I think of proactive, I think of somebody who's thinking, somebody who's anticipating, and somebody who is doing. And so proactive probably is closely linked with passion, and somebody who's moving forward.
I love that. The word proactive, definitely, for me, it's movement. I love that word, moving forward. I think if you're being proactive, you're understanding that standing still at this point in time is not going to be helpful to anyone, that we have to be moving something forward. And I've always loved the fact that you can only steer something that's moving, and you may not, proactivity isn't knowing maybe exactly where you should be going or even what you should be doing, but proactivity is saying we do need to be at least moving in a direction. And I think it comes from an inner faith that says, if I'm going to move forward, something's going to guide me, but I do need to be moving. I love that sense of movement that a proactive person has about them. They tend to not wait for a consensus of opinion or somebody else they say, well, look, with the information I do have, let me do what I can do with that, which I really love.
And I think what's interesting, as you've been speaking there, Dave, is so because proactivity is about a sense of movement, proactive people are probably more likely to fail than not proactive people, because proactive is about trying and doing things. So proactive people are probably more familiar and friendly with the term failure, because by the very nature, if you step up and try things enough, it's just a matter of time before you're gonna fall. And I suppose that's one of the characteristics of proactive people is they're not scared to try things and learn in the process of trying.
Yes, absolutely. I think we've spoken about fear so many times in our podcasts over the last few months. The proactive people have a healthy understanding of failure. Someone once says failure is not failing at a task. Failure is failing to start again. Failure is not falling down. Failure is failing to get up again. And proactive people have a healthy understanding that failure is part and parcel of success, that you need one with the other. And they're not afraid of it. And when you're not afraid of failing at something, it means a number of things. Your ego is in check, because if your ego is in check, then you're not afraid of failing. You're not afraid of admitting that you failed at something. And more importantly, you're not afraid to learn from those failures and try again, and move again, that sense of movement with proactive people.
Yeah. Like that. And as I think of the term proactive, I think a proactive person is very good in operating in the now, but also very good in seeing the future. So, it's a funny thing. I sometimes play this game when I'm on a highway, and this sounds like a dangerous game, but it's, can I get from point A to B on a highway without hitting my brakes? It's quite an interesting game because it's, obviously you've got to play the game which says, if I need to hit the brakes, I'm going to hit the brakes. But the trick to doing that, and like I say, it's just a game, is that when you're in the traffic, often we're just looking at the car in front of us. But to not having to keep ramming on your brakes means you're not only looking at the car in front, but you're looking at the cars in front as well. So that you're seeing before where there's going to be a hold up, so that you're already slowing down, taking your foot off the accelerator before you need to do, because the guy in front of you has put the brakes on.
And that's the most efficient way of driving a car. In fact, I remember teaching my kids, when you drive with your view at the end of the road. You're looking at the end of the road, not the end of the bonnet. And if you're a race driver, you're told actually hitting the brakes is the worst thing you do. So you're preempting what's coming. It's another good word, preempting what is coming. Being proactive. I love that.
And you see some of these guys who speed up to the oak in front of them, and then they slam on the brakes. And it was, could you not have seen that was going to happen? They
don't see the lorry ahead, and they don't move out. They do this. I see it.
So I think for us to be proactive, it's a now future way of thinking. Because proactive people are operating today. They're doing some good stuff today. So they're not paralyzed by the future, and they're also not surprised by the future. And if you think of it in a COVID-19 space, a lockdown space, it's what will life be like in 2 months' time, 3 months' time, 4 months' time. And the moment we're beginning to play like that, we're beginning to play in the proactive space, but we're also asking ourselves, and what do I need to do today that's value adding, that's creating, that's growing, learning.
I like that. Proactive people are at heart strategic, and I know some people are by nature strategic and others need to learn strategy, but strategy is, I love what you're saying, it's having a good understanding of tomorrow, but not at the exclusion of knowing what to do today. So because some people are so futuristic, but they're rubbish in the day-to-day understanding of how to organize their lives. it's pointless having a real understanding of where we're going to be if we can't map out the steps required to get us to that point, right?
Yeah.
And
And to
proactive.
create value today.
Say again?
To actually be creating value today.
Yes.
In today's climate, anticipating tomorrow's climate, and it's almost a situation that you're grappling with.
Well, they again, proactive people can hold attention, but you can only hold attention if you have a grip of both sides of the rope. If you only hold one side, you can never create tension, right? So tension in your life is held by a clear understanding of the future, but yet a groundedness in the present. So you know what is and isn't possible now, like you know what your cash flow restraints are now, but you know what you require for the future.
Yes.
And that forces us to be then strategic, isn't it? To ask the right questions. Then what needs to be true for us to move the next step forward and so on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
That's the proactive, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's a great word.
So how about this word, the opposite? What is the opposite of proactive?
So the word that comes to mind immediately for me, and there's probably better words, but certainly the word laziness. So just being lazy. So proactive people probably are not lazy. They're doing things, but there's probably a better word, because
one of the words I would have thrown. Let me throw a word in the pot. Then is procrastination.
But procrastination is an interesting one. So because there is a good procrastination.
Yeah, so you say. I'm not sure if I quite believe you on that one yet, though.
I'm going to Adam Grant here, but where they've done some stuff, and I know we don't want to get caught up on this. But procrastination is definitely the enemy of the algorithmic task. So where you know what you need to do, but procrastination is often the friend of the creative or the problem solver, as long as there still is a stake in the sand. So sometimes we have an intentional stalling, so that we can move beyond our default reactionary. But I think that's a whole new conversation there. But yes, so certainly I think procrastination where you know what you should do, it would definitely be the opposite of a proactive person.
Yeah, I mean, I love the saying that says, if you know to do something good and you don't do it, it's the same as not knowing.
Yeah.
And, a lot of time we know what we should do, but we don't do it. Well, then we may as well not know it. And I think as soon as you know what you should do, you need to do it. There's an action that's required. I realize that we're not all extroverts like myself who are driven by the action of doing. We all need some introverts in there as well. So
you need to be careful now. Hey, you're insulting some introverts like me by saying that extroverts do.
Yeah, absolutely. But however, I do think regardless of whether we are INTJ or ENFJ or whatever we might be, we need to be proactive in our thinking. We need to be saying, okay, what do I need to know today, and what do I need to be doing tomorrow, and what can I do now to make that a reality? One of the words is reactive. So how would reactive be against a proactive person? What's a reactive person then?
Sure. Look, I'm sure that proactive people also have to react, because, react is sometimes.
Well, or do they? Or don't they respond?
I don't know. Reactions keep us alive. So sometimes, but here's maybe the deal. Have I trained myself with certain positive reactions? Because a reaction is a non-thinking process in my mind. So I react. But if I've trained myself in a particular way, I'm probably going to react in healthy ways.
Or you could say, if you've trained yourself, you're no longer reacting. You're actually responding, because the training is taking the reaction away. Now you have a pre-programmed response.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could put it this way. A proactive person probably has an intentional, well-informed reaction most of the time. I think we could safely say that when COVID-19 hit, most of us were reacting, even if we were proactive people, because it was unprecedented.
Yeah.
However, the proactive person is well trained to not have to wait for somebody else to be telling them how to be, how to navigate certain circumstances, even if the proactiveness is proactivity in seeking help.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the danger is that we spend our lives in reaction to people, to events, to, and reaction can feel like you're moving forward, right? It can actually feel like we're being proactive, but actually no, you're still being reactive. You can be responding to COVID-19 still reactively without necessarily being strategic about it.
Yeah.
I think we need to be careful there.
Yeah, so it's maybe an interesting thing then, Dave. So a proactive person probably makes a sober assessment of their current situation, whereas reactive people can tend to be running away from the reality, Jim Collins speak, the brutal facts of now. And I think if we want to be responsive, proactive people, it probably also comes with a sober assessment of what's going on right now. And that would probably be a characteristic of a proactive person, to be able to judge the current situation now in a measured, healthy, honest way. Otherwise, I'm probably not going to be proactive.
I love those words because actually what you're painting a picture of is someone who is proactive. But that proactiveness is coming out of a very well-trained EQ as well as trained IQ. They have an understanding of the emotional requirements of the problem and intellectual requirements of it. And it's coming out of a groundedness. I love that word, groundedness. I think proactive people, certainly the ones that make consistently better decisions, are doing it from a place of strength, of even in the COVID thing, disasters all around us, yet I know that I am still grounded. I'm still in tune with who I am, what I believe, my values, my vision is still intact. And from that comes a proactivity, which isn't driven. It's an undriven proactivity. I like that.
Yeah. Well, that's well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well, today was a good day. I look forward to beginning with the end in mind tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and read what Covey says about proactive, because
whatever he said is not a patch on what we've just said.
Because I love Covey, but it's not the book I go back to as often as you.
Yeah, really.
But there's a certain chapter I go back to a lot, and that's chapter 5. And
we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
We're going to get there. But certainly I would have to refresh myself on what he actually says about proactive. So that's maybe a good start, is to just quickly do that. Yeah. Although my 7 habits are stuck in a box in a warehouse. So yeah.
Until next time, my friend, we shall see. Beginning with the end in mind tomorrow. Take care.
Nice. Thanks, Ed.